Hello, everyone, and welcome to our season finale of Marvel-ous Movie Mondays. A lot of you are probably like, a season finale? You've done like 10 episodes this year. It's true. It's been a busy year. This is the busiest year of my life. I took a new job, was overseas for most of the year. Kelsey was a bridesmaid in a bunch of weddings, and she was moving into her new place, and it's the holidays. So we've been very busy, and we acknowledge that. But next year, we're going to be back full swing. Not weekly again, of course, but we're going to try to really commit to the bi-monthly thing, and maybe even load up some episodes, pre-record some episodes, whatever we have to do. And of course, Kelsey and Matt are going to be back with trivia. I know it's been 10 months since our faction wars in February, but we are going to be back up in January. Our season premiere is going to be a trivia doubleheader that Matt and Kelsey have filmed, and we're gonna just hopefully get back to the swing of things. But that's the little catch-up spring cleaning. We have a lot to get to today. Kelsey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I'm really excited to kind of like cap off the year with you, Dill. This has
Yeah.
been, like you said, an exciting year for both of us, and we got a really interesting look ahead to what the future of the MCU is going to look like moving
Hmm.
forward. So I think
Hmm.
we definitely have to start with that, get our big
Yes.
news of the week out of the
Yes.
way.
We have a lot to tackle this episode. We're doing our Phase 5 ranking, which now that Ironheart is the official endpoint of that, before Fantastic Four became the start of 6, we can now rank Phase 5. We're doing series and movies, everything but X-Men 97 because it's its own thing, and then I Am Groot. It's just so minuscule we didn't put it in the ranking. But we're ranking 14 projects from Phase 2. But before we get to that, we also have our Eyes of Wakanda review that we were going to do as our own episode. Then we watched it, and we were kind of like, we could just tag this on to our ranking. We don't really need to do a full episode on it, just because I don't really have a lot to say on it. Not really necessarily a bad thing, but we have to open with this because this is going to kind of be the news story probably for the next year. First off, Avengers Doomsday releasing the same day as Dune 3. I'm sure one of those movies is probably going to move. They're not going to want to compete against each other, but I don't think Avengers is going to be moving. I think it wants to be that like end of year hoorah, just
Hmm.
like Avatar was this year for Disney, just as Zootopia also was for Disney. Disney having a great year this year, and I can speak from it because I am on the business side of things now, so I can see just how well they're doing, and they did very well for all the Tron Areses that bombed. There were Zootopia 2s that broke and smashed records. But
Right.
Avengers Doomsday, their big movie in December. We got like that big chair reveal. I remember we talked about that when we were doing our Daredevil reviews. You know, we talked about each
Mm-hmm.
chair, who was getting introduced, a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
X-Men coming back, and then the big reveal, obviously, that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be Doom. We talked about. So we've already kind of gotten our thoughts out there, but then they love to like give us one little wrinkle and say, you know what, you were planning a whole 14 film ranking today on top of an Eyes of Wakanda review. We're gonna stick it even more because I went to see Avatar, and I'm sitting there watching Avatar Fire and Ash, and I get this little like teaser trailer that I saw on Twitter and I thought was AI because I was like, okay,
Mm.
you're funny, you're good, you're funny, you're funny. But then I actually see it in real time. I'm like, oh, this is real. Where Steve Rogers is riding his motorcycle. He stops home, he holds his baby, and it's like Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday. And then they just released a Thor one as well. So I'm just like, Kelsey, I need your thoughts because
Oh,
I've already talked so much. I don't want to go on a
is
rant.
the Thor one officially released?
So I went and saw Avatar. Okay, so yeah, here's the thing. I went to see Avatar, and it was the Thor one, but I also saw that other people saw Avatar. It was the Steve Rogers. So I saw Avatar. I saw Avatar once, but I watched the preview twice in the theaters because I had heard that there was an Avatar trailer. I'm not making sense, but I went to see a different movie and went into Avatar to just peek in and see if it was true. And they played the Steve Rogers trailer, and I went, "Oh shoot, it is real." Then I went to actually see Avatar because I actually had 4 hours to spare and saw the Thor one. So I've seen both in theaters, but I've only seen Avatar once. That sounds kind of crazy, but yeah, after Hamnet, I snuck into Avatar to just watch the trailer because I also wanted to see the Odyssey 15-minute opening scene or 5 minute
Mm.
opening scene, which they didn't play in Dolby. They only played in IMAX, so I missed out on it anyway. But yeah, I got to see both of them, both trailers, and yeah, the Thor one is just kind of very simple. It's just Thor basically being like, "This is my final quest, my final battle." It's like a whole voiceover thing.
Mm.
And then it just says Thor will return, which I think we knew Thor was coming back, and Thor hasn't like gone away. He hasn't officially said he's going anywhere. But it was
Yeah.
Steve Rogers that was really the kicker because like it seemed very definitive that Chris Evans was done, and then he came back for Daredevil and Wolverine, but as a different character, as a little cameo bit. But then we were like, no, he's done.
Right.
But Kelsey, I need your thoughts on this because I just don't know where to even begin.
Well, I'm watching what is apparently the Thor one, but I'm pretty sure this is just like a fan edit of just like a bunch of nonsense. But I definitely did see the confirmed Steve Rogers trailer. This was brought to my attention through some of our friends here on the Dill Pickle Movie Network. Some people reached out to me and said, "Hey, did you hear about this leak? Did you hear about this rumor?" And I was like, "No, had no idea." And then all of a sudden I watched the official trailer when it came out, post like this Avatar trailer that you were talking about, Dill. And I'm surprised because like all the actors who who have been in these Marvel projects for 10 plus years all do their final quote unquote final project or just and are just like
Kelsey, it'll be 20 years in 2028. We're at 17 years of this thing. Isn't that crazy?
right. Get crazy.
Yeah.
And then they all say, I think that's probably going to be it for me. I'm done, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And I guess there's a number that can be offered to these actors to come back, which is great. I also think that having RDJ come back is definitely probably a pull for Chris Evans because obviously, like, if RDJ's involved, then it's probably not just going to be like a cash grab, like nothing nonsense movie. Like there has to be like some substance to it. And I think that was probably a big pull for Chris Evans to do it. But I think more importantly, I think this is giving us an overall look into what Doomsday is going to be about. And it's seemingly about not necessarily the character of Steve Rogers, but his baby. And obviously, the first look that we got of Doom was when he was, interacting with Franklin at the end of Fantastic Four.
That's
So,
actually a good point. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
so I
Maybe he's
think
just a cradle robber. He just goes around taking babies.
I think he's collecting these really strong, powerful beings that are children of even stronger, more powerful beings. So I
Yep.
think that that's definitely part of his motivation moving
Well,
forward in Doomsday.
and the Thor one is also about his daughter, how Love and his daughter's name is Love, right? And she's
Right.
like, yeah, he talks about her in it. So
Yes.
honestly, that could be a very good. That's very good. I haven't thought of that.
Thank you.
My whole thing is like, yeah, the positive in this is that just because these actors are returning, just because it says Steve Rogers doesn't necessarily say Captain America, just says Steve
Mm-hmm.
Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that these characters are returning or these actors are returning, this does not mean that it is the version we know. It does not
Mm-hmm.
mean that it is the universe we know. I think we get into a lot of tangled spider webs with that. I think it's just going to get overly complicated to a point, especially to the casual viewer,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I worry. I think Robert Downey Jr. alone is a little bit of a head scratcher for a lot of people. Like, wait, what? I don't get what's going on, especially if they make him a variant. Once you get
Mm-hmm.
into variants, I think it just kind of loses a lot of that fan base that isn't the core fan base that knows like Loki very well and stuff like that.
Totally.
But the downside for me, like that's the plus side, is like we don't really know what these characters are going to be used for. They are proper teasers. They are not giving us anything from the movie. All they're giving us is a glimpse of a character and basically being like they're back too. The thing I don't like is kind of what you said, where it's like we thought these characters stepped away. We thought Endgame was like the last hoorah. Like it felt like a final thing, and all the actors say we're not going to come back. I mean, I really appreciate what Scarlett Johansson and Elizabeth Olsen did. They said they weren't coming back, and they left it in the dust. And like
Mm-hmm.
it sucks because like I love them and I love their performances, and I love their characters, but there comes a
Mm-hmm.
point where like you can only do so much, and I think that's true with any profession, any career, any choice in life. It's like you can only go so far before you need a change. It's why after you get married you usually have kids. It's why after you retire you sometimes move. It's why you vacation. You need a change. You need some sort
Mm-hmm.
of change. And it just feels like Robert Downey Jr. won his Oscar. He's come back as a different character. He's the headliner. He's getting a lot of money. But for Chris Evans, like I'm just disappointed because I feel like he has so many projects he could be doing that are so cool. And like he is still doing them. He was the best part of that
Mm-hmm.
movie, Honey Don't, by a mile. But like
Mm.
I just feel like I just wish the universe was willing to move on from this. But it really feels like, well, nothing's working, so let's just go back to what we know. And that to me is the most regressive type of filmmaking and franchise building, in my opinion, is just like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And like, we're gonna do different things with these actors, but these actors, you're in safe hands. It's the same thing that happened with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's a different Wolverine, but yeah, it's still Wolverine, and makes Logan just less impactful. That just is the blanket thing, because we've seen him again as Wolverine. Logan will never be as impactful as it was when we didn't think Wolverine was ever going to be on our screens again. And that's the thing. It can be a different version of Steve Rogers, but the fact of the matter is you had such a great send-off with Endgame, such a final moment. It was the last shot of the film. It ended up being more about him than Iron Man in the very end of that movie. Like, Iron Man was the star, but at the end, it was Steve Rogers and Peggy dancing. And now you're going back again to the well, when, like, poor Anthony Mackie, you give him an Incredible Hulk sequel, put his name on it as if it's a Captain America movie, and now it bombs, and now you're like, all right, never mind, we're going back to Chris Evans. Like, that's such a slap in the face too, where I'm just really wondering if this is, I have to see the picture, I have to see the full picture to understand. But right now, it just seeks of desperation. It just really feels like, we really don't know what to do without our core three, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans. And I think, you have so many other characters to use. Like, I was even excited that Tom Holland might not show up here, because, like, good, let him rest, let him have his own Spider-Man adventure. Like, you have so many new characters, so many young characters that have big careers ahead of them. Like the actress who plays Riri Williams, Dominique Thorne. You have, Haley Steinfeld. You have so many. I know she's pregnant, so she's probably not in it. But
Aman Vellani.
Just Aman Vellani. So many people that you could like spearhead with. Even older actors like Sebastian Stan is now finally a leading member of this new Avengers. But like, I don't know. Fantastic Four is a new thing too. Like, you have so many options, and it just feels like it's the most regressive one because it's the safe one because they know they're going to get the buck. But here's the thing: I still think Avengers Doomsday would have made money. Like, it's an Avengers movie. I think the fact that it's an Avengers movie, you could have none of the big three in there and it would still make money. You're not going to have Mark Ruffalo probably, and you're not probably going to have Scarlett Johansson. It's still going to make a lot of money. Like, you don't need those original Avengers. Jeremy Renner's not coming back. So it's just one of those, I mean, maybe he is. But I'm just like, I don't know. It just reeks of desperation. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm a little worried. I'm more worried than I've ever been for a Marvel movie. And I've been really worried the last few years,
Yeah,
just because I feel like it's such a big stakes movie as well.
No, totally. And I agreed with a lot of what you just said, Dill, but I think that this movie is very worrisome because I think it feels like they're scrambling. They're doing everything that they can to either like reignite like the spark that Marvel once had, and so that they're kind of grasping at straws, like, getting Chris Evans back, having RDJ be Doctor Doom, like, they're kind of really scrambling, and I feel like instead of like writing like a good like plot for a movie and like to have, a catalyst for seemingly the phases yet to come, because this obviously, like, I feel like even though like this movie is called Doomsday, like I feel like it can't all start and end in one film. That I just don't think that that's just not how the Marvel, like the franchise operates.
Well, we're getting Secret Wars like a year later too. So I'm like, is this gonna feel like an Infinity War to that film's Endgame? But then I'm like, you keep selling this as like, okay, this is gonna be where we end this chapter and start a new one and start fresh. But I feel like they already did that with Endgame, and before that they did that with Infinity War, and before that they did it with Civil War, and before that they did it with Age of Ultron. Like, they keep trying to be like, all right, this is your new team of Avengers. We're gonna let these guys rest, but then they keep coming back. And even Deadpool and Wolverine, it was like, this is the send off to the X-Men, to Fox, and now we're having Ian McKellen. We're having Patrick Stewart. Like, I'm like,
right. Yeah, it just feels like because they're disappointed in how all like the most recent and new projects, of the past like two phases now, they've been underperforming. They haven't been doing well with critics, with audiences on Rotten Tomatoes, all of that. They're just like, we got to go back to the drawing board where it's safe. And they know that audience will come out and see an Avengers movie with RDJ and Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth, and that's what they're sticking to. And that's kind of disappointing for viewers like us, because we really liked the projects like Eternals, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Like, these were the projects that we really enjoyed.
Remember that guy?
Oh, I miss him.
Where the fuck is he?
I literally miss him. And it's like, even like diving deeper with characters that we knew for 10 years, like Loki, like even his show was like fantastic. Like, and it's
And
feeling
even then,
like
Loki ended. Like
yeah,
like
right,
it ended in such a good spot, and I guarantee the next teaser is gonna be Loki being like, "I must leave the time god status to go be a bad guy again," or something. I don't
right,
know. I
right,
don't know because Loki doesn't even have a child for Doom to steal. Then I don't know what the plot is. I think we
right.
lost the plot. Yeah,
But I will say, as far as like, people coming back and like characters with children in the MCU, I would not be surprised if Elizabeth Olsen came back as Wanda just for the whole Tommy and Billy of it all. Because I just have the strangest feeling that they are going to have to be tied up in all this as well. Because
but
as
Billy's
we,
big now. He's old.
I know, but I'm just like, I mean, does he only want babies? Is it literally babies and that's
Right.
it? Or
Because
is
you
it
also
just
have all the young
children?
Avengers too. You have Iman Vellani and
Right.
Haley Steinfeld. But at this point now, Haley Steinfeld is a pregnant married woman. So like you time's ticking with these kids. These kids are not kids. Like Joe Locke, he's a man now. Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know.
I'm just thinking like I would not put it past her to cuz I was surprised that she was even in this latest season of not it wasn't What If, it was Zombies
Zombies.
of
Yeah.
Marvel Zombies. I was surprised to hear her voice. So I'm like, okay,
True.
there's
True.
clearly
The ties have
sorry.
not been completely severed.
Right. So that's what I'm thinking. And honestly, like I think like that would be the twist or the tease that fans would really get fans on board because people love her. People
But
live and die
also,
for Wanda.
this is the time and time old debate though of like, why are you showing it in marketing? Imagine if you didn't know Steve Rogers was back and you
Right.
see that in the theater. People are gonna go see it for Robert Downey Jr. alone. Stop
Right.
telling us all the cool things that are coming. Let us see it for ourselves.
I agree.
Ugh.
And to go back to your point about Anthony Mackie, that was my first initial thought. I was like, this is such a slap in the face to Anthony Mackie. Why are we regressing? Like we need to give this his Captain America a good fucking script and a good ass movie and let him fucking
Give him a
fly
chance.
and
Yeah.
give him a chance. Like if that movie was just an extension of Brave New World was just an extension of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think it could have been a really solid like I feel like it could have had like easily the same vibes as like Captain America the Winter Soldier. Like I think it could have been this really cool like political thriller with like him like helming it and if we had Bucky more involved the way he was
Yeah. And even
in
you
the
can have
show.
the Red Hulk Harrison Ford thing. That's fine. That's a great
Yeah.
villain. But just like, yeah, yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about it soon because we're it's part of our ranking. But yeah.
No, totally. But yeah. But what does make me a little hopeful that they're not just gonna like completely like you know fuck with Anthony Mackie's whole arc as Captain America is that they do strategically say Steve Rogers will return.
Yeah.
And so that's like the one thing like I feel like he'll obviously want to be involved in the fight, especially if his kid is the one getting threatened, but he might not do it as Captain America in some way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so that's Avengers Doomsday. I mean, we'll have more answers. I'm sure we'll get another teaser because they said
right.
they're gonna do 3 of them. I know they're gonna do I don't know what the third one is. It might be a Loki one now that I've say it.
Really?
Maybe that's why I have it in my head. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either because also we're gonna have to get an official trailer at some point for this movie,
Yeah,
so that'll
maybe.
definitely clue us into what's going on. But
Yeah, yeah.
anyway,
Anyway, so that's the news of the week.
that's
We also have Spider-Man coming out in the summer, which we also have gotten zero marketing for.
right.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm actually gonna get to see it on the boat, which is really cool because it's coming out while I'm on the ship. Gonna
Oh,
be going
cool.
around this next go, so that's gonna be fun. I'm wondering, Kelsey, if we can find a way to get you on on the boat for a week, so
I,
you can come watch it with me. That'd be fun.
I would love nothing
Let's do it.
more.
Let's do like a Dill Pickle Movie Never Cruise. We'll get you, Chad, Matt, and Zach all on the boat, and we'll all watch Marvel movies together. It'll be great.
I love that.
But we have to talk really quickly before we get into our ranking because I know that's what people want to hear mostly. But we did watch Eyes of Wakanda. We were going to do our own episode for it. But after watching the episodes, I kind of was like, I'm glad we're just tacking it onto this because I really don't have a ton to say
Yeah.
about it. It's another one of those projects where I'm like, okay, cool experiment. I'm glad I watched it, but like this is not going to be a movie or a series that I'm going to think about a week from today, which sucks because it's a Wakanda and like that's kind of the thing that like elevated the MCU beyond just like superhero fare. It kind of meant
Mhm.
something more to people. And I
Mhm.
still think it does. And I think the series can. Um, but I'm curious, Kels, what do you think of Eyes of Wakanda, having watched it?
Well, I had no expectations or understandings at all going into what it was about. I didn't know if it was going to take place present day Marvel, if it was going to be in the past, if
Mm,
it was going to be about Shuri. I was going in blind to this series
yeah.
100% because I just feel like they didn't talk about this one a ton
No.
when they released it. Like I just feel like these things like appeared on Disney Plus and I'm like, "Oh, okay, now this to
Mhm.
watch."
I have a big
Um
question, but I'll let you finish your thoughts on it because I have a question that goes along with that. But
sure.
keep going. Yeah.
But essentially, like what it is, it's that it's just four short stories. Each episode is 30 minutes long. About the different members of the War Dogs, which we know as Nakia's secret society of spies that works for Wakanda. And their main mission is basically to go out into the real world, which most Wakandans don't do. They go beyond the borders of Wakanda to search for the Wakandan artifacts that have been stolen throughout the centuries, really.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, and here's the thing, like, it is a really cool idea. I know
mhm,
this was something like Ryan Coogler wanted to pitch some sort of Wakanda Black Panther spin-off series, and this is kind of where a writer pitched this to him, and this was kind of where they settled on. I like the fact that it's animated, you know, it kind of gives it a
mhm,
little flavor to explore even more of the rich culture without having to like spend all the budget and recreating all these things. Because again,
mhm,
my big question, who is this for? And I know it's for
mm,
Marvel fans, obviously, because like I don't see a lot of Black Panther diehard fans being like, "Oh my god, Eyes of Wakanda!" Like it just adds so much more to Black Panther. I don't necessarily know if it's as kid friendly, even though it's animated for kids to watch it.
yeah.
Even the Amazing Spider-Man or the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show, it's animated in a way where I feel like you could like show your 7-year old, 6, 7-year old, 7 or 8-year old, you know, that
Oh,
show.
don't
Sorry,
even.
um,
We're
I,
good. We're
I
moving
regretted it
past
as soon
it.
as I said it. But like your 7 or 8-year old, I'm sure you could like turn it on. Like they might not get all of the underlying things going on, but they can
Yes.
enjoy it. But like here, I'm like, I just don't know because it is very violent. I mean, a lot of it's
Mhm.
fighting. I mean, it's a very action centric show that I'm just like not really sure who the audience is, and also because they didn't market it well. Like who's watching this? And that's the thing is like you don't give it the attention, you don't give it the marketing, like it's just gonna come and go. And like for Black Panther, you could milk this. Like this is something that like if you were to do an anthology film and release it in theaters at a dead part of the year, like January, February, it could probably make some money if you were marketing it as something like, you know, really worthwhile, like Spider-Verse was. If you just say like this is a different Wakandan story, but I feel like they just like kind of just dropped it on Netflix or on Disney Plus, like you said. So I'm like,
Yeah.
who's this for? You know?
No, yeah, totally. I honestly didn't that thought didn't even occur to me while I was watching it because I was having a good time. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this animation looks good. I like these stories. I like these characters that we're diving in."
Hmm.
Even though each episode is only around 30 minutes, I feel like these characters that I'm meeting for the first time are pretty flushed out and get like a pretty decent arc that you can explore and just like watch play out for 30 minutes. It's a very easy watch.
Hmm.
I feel like if they wanted more eyes on it and they wanted to kind of extend this universe of like Wakanda within like the grand scheme of like the Marvel franchise, like maybe attach Nakia to it, put
Yeah.
Lupita Nyong'o's name on it, and have
Yeah.
it be like her origins as one of the War Dogs,
Yeah.
and then explore the people who came before her.
Or simple framing device, have every episode start live action with Lupita Nyong'o and her son, and have her
Mm,
tell him a story by the campfire, and then like we show this animated story. Like it could be as easy as that. It's kind of the inverse of what Echo was, where it would open with like a flashback, like ancient folk
mm-hmm,
tale, and then it would kind of bring it to present day. Instead, maybe start with present day and then go back. It's kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, where like it starts with that little animated cartoon. Like make that the crux of it. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of ways this could have been a bigger deal, and I feel like
yeah,
because it wasn't a big deal and it kind of just came and went, it feels just very unfulfilling when you watch it. And it sucks because
yeah,
I like each story, but none of it feels like I'm watching something that matters at the end of the day. And that's kind of where I started to feel with What If, or by the end I was like, none of this really matters, you know? And even your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, like it's so tangential to the MCU, but at least it set up stakes to where I felt like it mattered because it treated itself like it was important. And not that this
mm-hmm,
doesn't feel important in its own context, but I do feel like this could have just raise the stakes even more if they had put a little bit more effort into making it feel like this was a must-watch television series, or
Mhm.
maybe just expand it more and make it feel richer and fuller. Because 4 episodes, each one's its own little tale. Like, it really is something easy to come and go. Like I watched it all this morning, like all 4 episodes, and then I
Yeah,
was
me
done.
too.
It's so I'm kind of just like, and I don't think I'll ever watch it again. And
Yeah.
it's a real disservice because even the movies, even Wakanda Forever, which had its flaws, I don't like it nearly as much as the first Black Panther. I'm still gonna go back to because there's something that feels important and something that feels like I want to invest my time in it, whereas I don't feel
Yes.
like I want to here, and that's a shame because Wakanda is such a rich creation. It's such a rich,
Mhm.
beautiful world. And this should be the series where we're like, whoa, okay, this is cool. In the way that like I feel like Star Wars really achieves well when it kind of goes into little
Mm.
spin-offs. It's like
Mhm.
it still feels important even if it's about a group of characters we've never seen before. Um, so that's kind of it for me for Wakanda. Do you have any other like specific thoughts? Did you write any notes that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I took notes on pretty much each episode. Like you said, Dill, I was kind of surprised by some of like the more like gory moments, and not even. It's like it's still rather tame for
Hmm.
for animation, but still, I was not expecting to see like axes getting thrown to people's faces and people getting stabbed, and seeing those like splurts of blood. I just will say that my favorite episode was definitely episode 3, Lost and Found, because there's
Mm,
this really interesting story between two characters who are both kind of like put to defend each other's like cultural important artifacts for each of their different cultures. And so we have the war dog who works for Wakanda. He's on on a mission in China. His name is Basha, and then he
mhm.
meets a woman named Huroni. I don't remember how to say her name. I'm so sorry. It's Jorani. Durrani. But anyway, so she has to protect the artifact that he is trying to steal back for Wakanda. And so there's this kind of really and they have this really rich, like, you find out in the 6 months that he was there trying to get the artifact back, that he develops this relationship with her, and they kind of spark this romance, and they
Mhm.
you know she says, like, against all her better judgment, like, she took him in, like, she kind of found him, like, basically like freezing to death in the blizzard that was happening during the time, and nurses him back to health, takes him in. They spark this romance. She teaches him about her culture. Um, and then it all, comes down to this like ultimate betrayal that they see within each other. But she's able to take away the bit that is the Wakandans part of the artifact, and then she's able to go home with her piece of the artifact. So it is a happy ending at the end of the day. But it's just like, I was like, damn, like that was like a really good like story arc for both of these
Yeah,
characters. Like that
yeah.
was really rich. I would have watched a whole movie about these two,
Hmm.
almost like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith like situation happening
Yeah.
here.
Hmm.
Um, but I just really like that episode. There's this funny moment where she swears in Mandarin. So she's like, "Oh," and then it like bleeps it, and like even when, you have like the subtitles going, like they put the subtitles on for you when she's speaking in Mandarin, but they have, like
The symbols.
the hashtag and the dollar
Yeah.
sign and exclamation point and all that. And I was just like, "Oh, a swear in Mandarin. That's funny, LOL."
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that, like I said, each character and story was like really rich and entertaining, and easy to follow along to. Oh, I just have to say, one of the episodes took place in ancient Rome, ancient Greece
Mm,
actually, and it was about
yeah.
Achilles. And I don't like it when he gets his heel hurt.
Yeah.
It makes
That's
me
history for
squeamish.
you.
It gives me the heebie-jeebies, because
Yeah.
it's coming the whole episode. You're like, Achilles heel, something bad's gonna happen to his heel, and then it
Yeah.
does. It gets sliced, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh,
I just
terrible.
thought like this could be a really cool educational show too, but it's not family friendly enough to be like a kids show, and I feel like enough
Totally.
people know the history and stuff. But I like how at least it's trying to weave like Wakandan history into real like world history, because then it also kind of makes it feel like, you know, it goes beyond just like 2008 when Iron Man started and the few times we've seen it with like Captain America, Captain Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, Fantastic Four, like that. Marvel, like the universe expands beyond our time, and from the start of time, it's just been happening subsequently, and we're kind of getting to see it blend in, almost kind of like how Eternals was. It actually reminds me a lot of Eternals, just not as, the stakes weren't as good, but like I really like that idea of like kind of infusing history and Marvel and kind of blending it together. I wish it honestly went more into that, like Marvel in general, and I think this kind of could be an avenue to do that, maybe in a bigger live action sense, like do more things like Eternals that take place so far away to show that like this Marvel universe has coexisted. I think that'd be cool.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
I was gonna say the same exact thing, Dill. It reminded me a lot of Eternals and how we were going through different points in history and how the Wakandans were being affected by everything that was going on.
Yeah.
I think that the last thing that I just want to say about this is that in the last episode, episode 4 titled The Last Panther, we do kind of see how it ties back to the MCU and Black Panther specifically, because it's all about a woman from or a member of the Dora Milaje, I'm not sure, but she's from the future and she goes back in time to try to stop a Prince Tafari and his like one of the members of the War Dogs, Kuda, from taking an artifact back from Ethiopia. And so she's like, I have to stop this. Like the catalyst of the events for the end of the world in my time, in my world, is a prince taking a axe from somewhere that he shouldn't. And we see that by the end of the episode that even though Tafari puts the axe back in Ethiopia to stop the end of the world, 500 years down the line, we see that it's only kind of delayed that because in the end, in 2018, a prince is going to show up and take an axe from somewhere that he shouldn't and try to take over and become king of Wakanda. And that's exactly what happens. So in Black Panther, and I just thought that I was like by the end of it I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I see what's going on here.
Yes.
And it
Nice.
was kind of cool to see that shot of Killmonger in the museum, looking at the axe and his like whole get up from that scene in the movie. I was like, oh, that looks familiar. I've seen that before.
Yeah.
So
No, that's cool. Yeah.
good stuff.
Again, like a fine series. Like I'm not like saying like it did everything it wanted to do well. It's just I wish it had been marketed better. I wish it just felt more substantial and like just had more heft and weight. Not even in the context of its own series, but like just in the general overall picture. And I think when we get to our ranking of like phase 5, I'm like there's a lot of like the same criticism of like it's good, but it just feels so inconsequential. It just feels so like come and gone. Like, oh, this was here and now it's not, and like I won't remember it a week later. And that's a shame that like Marvel projects are that now. It kind of is the Star Wars thing too, of just like oversaturation, giving us a little too much. Like you have your own streaming service now, you can really go ham, but like so much gets lost when you have so much product. And I really like what they've been doing with their movies, where now they're really at like 2 movies a year, and that's kind of the max now, or 3, I guess, this year. I forget, we got 3 movies this year. But yeah, I really think like that's the way to go. Don't hit us over the head too much with it. And like it feels like they're really steering toward animation as their filler in the series world, where like they're really just going hard with animation just because it's easier to produce, cheaper to produce, and you can like sub out actors if you really need to, or create new characters. So I like what they're doing. It's just I really wish they just gave a little bit more care to really making sure these are seen, because a lot of people work on them and a lot of people work hard on them and they are good. So I think the more people that actually engage with it, the more they'll put the quality in, and it'll all be one big circle of life. You put the quality in as long as you get the revenue back, and that's kind of how business works in general, and these streaming services survive. But Kels, we're half hour in. Should we get to our ranking?
Yes, let's do it.
Perfect.
I was just reminding myself what the episodes were for What If season 2 and season 3, because that show all blends together for me.
Well, we are blending them together. So we're going to rank 14 projects of phase 5. So Fantastic Four is not here. Eyes of Wakanda is not here. Those are technically phase 6. Also, we did not include X-Men 97 just because X-Men 97 is really its own universe. It's not really connected to any of this. And we also know it would be our common number 1. Also, we didn't put I Am Groot in here just because they're so short. These are the full projects of phase 5. Some of them are just seasons. Like, for example, season 2 of Spider-Man will be part of Phase 6. Season 2 of Daredevil will be part of Phase 6. But right now, season 1 is part of that. Let's just go through the projects real quick, though. We have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That was the start of Phase 5, which at the time we were like, oh, we're already in Phase 5. But now I'm like, oh, we're in Phase 6, and that actually does feel like a while ago, even though it really wasn't. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Then we got Secret Invasion. Then Loki Season 2. So Season 1 was part of Phase 4. This is Season 2, Phase 5. The Marvels. Then What If we are combining Season 2 and Season 3? Because being honest, they were kind of on par with one another. I feel like we felt the same about Season 2 as we did Season 3, even if we do have a slight preference, maybe, and we'll talk about it when we get there. Echo. And then we have Deadpool and Wolverine, Agatha All Along, the first season of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which happened earlier this year, believe it or not. That's crazy. This was all this year. Captain America Brave New World, which also happened this year. Crazy to think about. Daredevil Born Again, and then Thunderbolts and Ironheart. So those are the projects we're going to be ranking today. How I think we should do it is if we have, we'll start with your 14, and then we'll go to my 14. If I have it 3 or less spots higher, we could talk about it then. But I feel like if your number 14 is like my number like 10 or higher, we'll save it, like
Okay.
we'll save the conversation, just because we clearly like it a little bit more if it's in our top 10. So anything in this bottom 4 that's 4 or more spots higher, let's say, we'll kick it, we'll punt it for later. But Kels, take it away. I wonder if we have the same 14. What is your number 14 here on our ranking? Our official Phase 5 ranking starts now. What do you got, Kels?
Well, Dill, I really freeballed my ranking. I didn't think too much into it. I just know, I looked at all the titles you sent me and I was like, oh, I remember really liking that a lot. Or if I'm like, I don't remember anything about that at all, it went further down the list.
Okay.
So when it was all said and done, the project that I put at my number 14 was Secret Invasion.
Me too.
Great.
Twins, like brother, like sister. Yeah. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, no. That I'm like upset. Like I think about the fact that like I either A, have to like make questions about that show, or B, like if I ever compete again, like no answers about questions to that show, and it upsets me that I have to rewatch it.
That's the nicest thing about stepping away from trivia and now putting it in yours and Matt's hands, is like I don't have to ever watch these shows again if I don't want to.
Yeah.
And even then, if I had to get back into question writing, which I think someday down the line I might, it'll be nice because I can just Wikipedia. Or take the ones you've already written.
Totally.
This show sucks. Any specifics to give thoughts?
I think what's coming to mind for me really that like sold it as my 14 was the AI intro. The fact that one of my favorite characters in the MCU dies in this one, right? This is when we have to say goodbye
I didn't remember that. Yeah, Maria Hill.
Taylor.
Oh,
Talos, Ben
Talos and Maria Hill.
Yes, and Maria Hill. She's not one of my favorite characters in the MCU, not by a landslide.
A, I forgot Talos died. B, I forgot you thought Talos was one of your favorite characters in the MCU. Is that something we've established?
I love him. Are you kidding?
I know, but like favorite characters? Okay. I like him too, but I just didn't think he was like in your upper echelon.
He's up there for me. I think he's really cool.
Well, he's dead now, so.
Yep, doesn't matter.
Well, but so is Tony Stark and so is Steve Rogers.
Right, totally.
And we're getting them again. Steve Rogers didn't die, but he was an old Joe Biden by the end of Endgame, and people just assumed he was on the moon. But I guess the moon was just code word for Avengers Doomsday casting chair. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to add. I think the final fight with her getting all the powers and her having that little Drax arm is still so funny.
Oh, right.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm remembering that now. Like, terrible.
There are elements, like I like the idea of her as a villain. I like the idea of her absorbing all the powers, but isn't that kind of what Taskmaster already did? But Taskmaster did it in a way where like you could at least defeat her, because like she had fighting styles. But when you give someone like the power to literally have all the powers that all the like magical people do, it's just overpowered. And I'm like, how do you proceed here? I thought Samuel L. Jackson looked tired, seemed uninvested. I think the relationship is the most interesting thing about it, is that he has like a Kree wife, I think, right? Or a Skrull wife.
Wow, that's like
the difference between Skrull and Kree
goes
anymore.
Beyond interracial. That's like interspecies.
Yeah, that's bestiality right there. Yeah, Kelsey's like, ooh, something beyond human. I'm like, no, 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 no.
I'm like, wow, how progressive.
No, 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 no. That's either AI or animals, and we're not touching either of those.
Right.
Yeah, it's just really bad. I don't
Yeah.
really even have anything else to say. It's just boring too. I think that's the thing. It's not like entertainingly so bad it's good. Whereas like
Yeah.
there's maybe one or two on this list that like I would at least watch again, even though I think they're deeply flawed because they're entertaining. Like my numbers 8 and 9 are the ones where I'm like, okay, these two are bad movies, but I would watch them again.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
they're
Interesting.
not bad movies, but I'm like, I think they're very flawed movies. I wouldn't say they're good movies, but
Yeah.
like I would sit back and watch it again just because I think there's entertainment value. Here, I don't think there's entertainment value. Like my whole bottom two, no entertainment value.
Got it.
12 and 11, there's some entertainment value, and then we get into like, okay, like I would watch these again. But number 14, Secret Invasion. There, you heard it here first and last. That's probably the last time we'll talk about this, unless it's trivia, right? Like I don't
Yeah.
think we'll ever have to talk about Secret Invasion again, right?
God, please, let's not.
Okay, let's commit to that for 2026. All right, Kels, what's your number 13? Let's see if we are still in line with one another.
My number 13 is a movie that
Nope, nope.
I'm also upset that I'm gonna have to rewatch. Like eventually, it's gonna have to happen. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Okay, that's my 11, so we'll talk about it now.
Okay.
But go ahead, Kels. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm just like remembering how I'm like, wow, like the visuals like were really crazy in that movie, and it's like seemingly really obsolete at this point because Kang isn't a character in the MCU anymore, so that entire storyline means nothing to me now.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't have to rewatch this one, honestly. I will if I'm gonna have to write questions about it. Anyway, and I really liked, like having Cassie around, but at the same time, I'm just like remembering how that movie ended and feeling really weird about it because he's like, wow, we saved the day once again. This is amazing. And then he's like, but did we though? Well, I don't know. Something doesn't seem right. This is weird. I'm sure everything's fine. And I'm just like, that's such a weird way to like
Yeah.
tease that like something might be still wrong. Like it just felt like such a really weird, like lazy way to do it. And honestly, like even the typical like Ant-Man like comedy for me couldn't even save this one. I just didn't even feel like it was as funny as the other two Ant-Man. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I had a little higher only because I think it's just like the Jonathan Majors performance, as much as it's icky to watch, it at the time I was like, oh, I'm really invested. I thought Kang was a really good villain, and I think it's one of the better like individual villains in their own movies.
mm,
But yeah, I think when you look at the grander world of it all, it really suffers from not being able to connect now because also they set it up so much. They like really, 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 really went hard into like establishing this as the big bad, but also seemed oddly easier to defeat than you would expect.
right.
I hate the MODOK stuff. I really do
Yeah.
dislike a lot of the visuals. I think it's honestly a little muddy, a little crummy, but I at least appreciate that they went at least deep enough to like explore a new realm, explore a new world. There's clearly intention behind trying to world build. I don't think it's successful, but I at least like that they at least took big swings and it didn't feel like they were trying to just kind of do Ant-Man again. It felt like they were doing something very different with Ant-Man, which I did
Mhm.
appreciate. I like that they were taking at least a big swing. The only problem is because of the Jonathan Majors stuff, like it really just does not hold up well. And I do think it's going to be one of those movies that we're going to forget about more and more as time goes on. Once we're able to see exactly how they get rid of Kang here, if they even do, because we know Paul Rudd is back. So I think they're going to have to address it at some point. It's just a matter of how they do that. Like make the first part of Doomsday, Robert Downey Jr. stomping on Jonathan Majors, and then we're good. Like I really don't know. Like almost like Ant-Man, like he's a little ant and squished.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like I really don't know. But the thing is, I do think at least there is an attempt to kind of expand this world and create something new, which is at least fun to see as a Marvel fan that they're exploring new worlds. I just think other films do it a little bit better. But it's my number 11, so it's not very high. I mean, this whole list, like everything from my like 4 down is like a 3 stars out of 5. Like it's not until you get to my top 3 where it's like, okay, now we're getting to 3.5 stars, and then my number 1 is a 4-star film or 4.5. So like I'm like
Mhm.
this whole phase in general is kind of like but there's like 1 or 2 that I'm like, okay, this really really rocks, and then everything 3 down is like okay. Like I really didn't love this phase, so 11 is still really bad. But there's even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
My number 13 is What If. That's where I kind of lump it, just because. Is this higher than 4 spots for you, or?
It's my number 10.
Okay, we can talk about it now then. I really don't think these episodes, like you said, you were kind of going back to see if you could remember some of these episodes. I really can't. I think the Kahori
Yeah.
one is the one that's kind of saving it. But I'm
Mhm.
like watching, like I'm reading through a lot of these, and I remember even like talking about the Howard the Duck one, but I can't
Yes.
remember what it was. Like there are a lot of ones where I'm like, I could vaguely remember what that was, like Happy Saving Christmas, and little moments here and there. But I'm like, in the grand scheme of these things, season 1, I could still pick out episodes and be like, okay, I remember when they did that. I remember when they did that. Here, I'm like, it's just more or less the
Yeah.
same, and I just don't think they really followed through with what the vision for the show should have been. I always thought it should have been taking these big moments in the MCU and showing us the alternatives, bigger than just like if they had met this character or they had met this character. And it really, really sucks because I really think this could have been such a big project, and it just feel like they really fumbled the ball. And the animation's good, but like we've seen it all before in season 1, so it's not like I could even give it credit for that. I would have probably put season 3 slightly above 2, maybe.
Mhm.
I think I remembered liking individual episodes more, but as a whole, like both these seasons are ones like I'm not even gonna rewatch. Like even Quantumania, I could see myself revisiting it and like not
Mm.
enjoying it, but like being like, okay, I'll watch it for 2 hours. Here, I would not sit through all 20 episodes again. Like, I'm just not
Mhm.
gonna do it. So that's why it's low for me.
That's really fair, Dill. I actually feel the opposite. I feel like because I'm all I have I have 3 films. I Quantumania and then 2 more films in my 12 and 11 spot. And
Mm,
I just feel like I'd be much happier rewatching What If like as a whole, like the whole series, like one day rather than like rewatch the other 2 films that I have on my list.
fair.
And we can talk about those reasons when we bring them up. But I just remember obviously the Kahori episode being amazing. I remember there being great stuff for Captain Carter in the What If
Mm,
seasons. I remember like the Howard the Duck episode was really silly, goofy, crazy. I remember the episode where like S- Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop are like cowboys for an episode, and I
I do
remember
not
like
remember that. Wow.
see, like
Damn.
I didn't mind that one too much. So I just feel like looking back on it, like even though I did just say I had to like re-jog my memory what the episodes were, I remember feeling overall like pretty good about What If when it ended, as opposed to like the other 2 movies that I have below it, like not feeling that good about them coming
Okay.
out of it.
Cool. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I can't elaborate because like these episodes have come and gone out of my head in one ear out the other.
And
What's
that's
your
fair.
number? We did your 13. What's your number 12, Kels? I'm wondering if we
My
have the same 12.
my number 12 is Captain America Brave New World.
That's my number 12 as well.
There
Okay.
we go.
Period. Tell us about it.
Well, it was just really tough because I just don't think that it was the best like showcase of Anthony Mackie's Captain America. I also think that having it tie back to the Incredible Hulk was like a really interesting choice because that's famously not a movie that the franchise looks back on fondly. And to be like, hey, remember this movie? Anyone was just like kind of like a crazy choice.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, I just remember feeling like that movie was like super rushed and they really should have taken more time for like the beats to like develop and for this to be like a solid showcase of Anthony Mackie's Captain America, and it just like kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah.
Um but yeah.
Yeah, I remember really liking the Harrison Ford stuff. Like I think
Mhm.
that's what keeps it. I think that and like the Kang stuff in Quantumania keeps it above the bottom 2 for me. Because
Yeah.
I at least think they're compelling villains. Now here's the thing. I think this is gonna age actually better than Quantumania when I rewatch it because the villain is not gonna be a problematic piece of shit. But
Yeah.
I still think just the whole direction of taking a Captain America movie and making it this, I like that it's political. I like that there's a president plot line. I like that stuff, but it felt like
Mhm.
he was so sidelined, where at least Quantumania, it felt like Ant-Man was still a central focus of it, even though it's a little weird that Ant-Man is in a Kang movie. Like, it didn't make a
Mhm.
lot of sense. Like, here, it just feels like they really just wanted to get to the president stuff. and he felt like such a secondary slash tertiary slash quad. I don't even know the fourth term for it, but like it felt like he was so secondary to everything else that was happening, to where it didn't feel like his own movie. Where Ant-Man and the Wasp at least felt like Ant-Man and the Wasp's movie, more so Ant-Man than the Wasp. But like here,
Mm-hmm.
like it did not feel like a Captain America movie, and I think that's what was most upsetting about it, especially having a black-led superhero movie when we only really had Black Panther up till then. It was just a real big
Mm-hmm.
bummer, to really have this kind of be his big coming out party cinematically, because a lot of people, let's admit, don't watch the Disney Plus series, so this is the
Mm-hmm.
thing that was going to sell them on it. And I don't think it did. I didn't find him to be as compelling a presence in this movie as he could have been. And there are just so many little side plots and little things that I'm just like, I don't remember very well, but also just I remember at the time just being like, what? Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
I think Isaiah Bradley is a more interesting character than Captain America is in this movie. I think,
Mm-hmm.
obviously Harrison Ford's president character is more memorable and has a bigger impact. And it really sucks. I think if they had just like made this a Red Hulk movie, it would have been so much better. And then, oh, cool, Captain America has a big part to play in this. Similarly to how Black Widow was a big helping hand in the Winter Soldier. It wasn't her movie, but she was a big
Mm-hmm.
part of it. I think if they had marketed it as a Red Hulk movie, and like called it a Red Hulk movie or the Incredible Hulk 2, and like made it a movie where Captain America could come and go from it, I think it would have been a lot stronger. But I think the fact that they are making it this Captain America centric movie is kind of where they shot themselves in the foot. And I just think the visuals look crappy again. I think the
Mm-hmm.
writing is I think it's clear that they took some stuff out and added stuff back in to kind of
Mm-hmm.
fit the political times, because they thought that the assassination attempt was a little bit of a tough subject. The obviously Israel Palestine stuff was a tough subject. So like I think they just kind of really fumbled the ball. I think they obviously had a lot of things to work around. And I think at the end of the day, it just became a mess. So it's my number 12 as well.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I really only remember like one of the only positive things that stick out for me from this one was that the Red Hulk looked really good. And I
Yeah.
think we remember like making a comment during when we saw this one and was like, it feels like they poured the entire visual budget into making sure that the Red Hulk looked good, and then like they had no money left to make sure that anything else looked good.
No.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and to have that whole controversy with the Israeli actress in that movie, when like it could have been any character who served her purpose, and just felt like what don't include this, like
Yeah.
it's you know
Yeah.
so
Touchy subjects.
yeah.
That's kind of why I think that and Quantumania kind of live at this point in my list, where like I would rewatch them more than What If and Secret Invasion, because I at least remember things about them.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, there's so much that makes it so hard to rewatch for other reasons that are not even movie reasons. So yeah, they're gonna be my number 12 and 11. So I already talked about my 11. What is your 11, Kels?
My 11, it kind of pains me to say this a little bit because I remember feeling better about this one during the time it came out. But looking back, I just think that I enjoyed a lot of the other projects that came out this phase more than it, and it's the Marvels.
Interesting. I have it at 8, so we could talk about
Okay.
it now. But I was a
Yeah.
little higher on this than I was kind of the opposite, where I thought I was gonna have it lower, but then seeing what's below it, I'm like, honestly, no, I'd rewatch this more than those others. But I want to hear
Yeah.
your POV as number 11.
I definitely do think that I owe this one a rewatch just because I really don't even now that I'm even talking now, I'm like, do I even really have like a solid opinion on this movie? I can't tell. I just remember I thought that it was a very weird showcase of the characters, Captain Marvel and or aka Carol Danvers and um Monica Rambeau and just like really not feeling like a proper arc happened between the two of them because there was just
Hmm.
like a lot of like loss and grief and confusion and hurt surrounding their relationship, and
Yeah.
having that not like really I feel like get its full time to kind of heal in this movie, and to have the really like very boring uh villain that they did in this movie, Dar-Ben, like
Yeah.
that didn't feel like connected enough to the rest of the story. And like, obviously we love the cats moment.
I love it. I think
That,
that's why it's higher on my list.
yeah,
I
I
honestly
think
do,
so
because there are
too, Dill.
memorable moments. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But and then I'm also like remembering like the weird like singing scene that they have on the singing planet.
I kind
And
of
I'm
dig
just
it.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just thought that it was very like creative and cool during the time, but I think like now looking back at it, I'm like, that movie felt kind of weird, like, throughout. Like, the
Yeah.
beats were just, like, really disjointed for me. So, I don't know. It's further down my list.
Yeah. I'm trying to read my review because I kind of went off star ratings and I remember giving this a two and
Yeah.
a half stars, which is also though what I gave Quantumania, but I think Quantumania was like this is really bad, but like I'm still gonna bump it up to 2.5 stars because like I think there are good things about it. Whereas here I was like,
Mhm.
this was really fun, but like there are some detractors that I have to knock out lower. But
Totally.
I did have a lot of fun with it. I think
Mhm.
the comedy actually was the highlight reading through this review. Like I really did like all the zany stuff that it was
Mm.
doing. I liked it when it was sillier. I like that we are kind of seeing Captain Marvel have more like kind of let loose a little bit more because she was so stoic and so trauma heavy in her movie that it was kind
Mhm.
of nice to just like have fun with her, which I felt like
Sure.
her movie didn't even really do, but fittingly so. The only thing is, I think Captain Marvel was so strong, so it was a downgrade for her, like a Captain Marvel sequel. But I thought as like a continuation of Miss Marvel, it was actually very successful. I feel like she
Mm.
kind of made more sense as a character, kind of let her kind of have a more mature story, kind of give her a little bit more to do, kind of go a little further outside the box, kind of like when we see Spider-Man in these Avengers movies. Like, okay, prove yourself now, kid. But
Mhm.
I liked all the body swap things. I thought it was well choreographed. Those
Mhm.
sequences. I liked, Kamala's parents being there as well. So I think there were certain moments I liked a lot more than you did. But Darben really sucks. Really bad villain. And I hate the way they end it with like the X-Men coming in and Beast and that horrible CGI looking Beast. So there are things I don't like about it. But I think there
Yeah.
are at least sequences, moments like I would watch this again for those moments. And this was one that I actually got to rewatch. There's only a few movies here that I've watched twice. I've watched this twice. I've watched pretty much all the other movies twice. I watched Thunderbolts twice. I watched Guardians twice. I've watched Deadpool and Wolverine twice. Those are the only things I've watched twice, though. I haven't watched Agatha twice. I haven't watched
Mm.
Loki twice. Like it
Mhm.
is very interesting. Like this is one of 4 things I have at least watched again. And on rewatch, I actually like this more than another movie, which we'll talk about later. So I do
Yeah.
think it just is something I at least enjoy watching. Like it's a mess. It's not well done, but like at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, but I enjoyed it.
Totally.
So it is in my bottom half though. It is number 8 for me. But that was your 11. My 11 was Quantumania. What is your number 10, Kels?
My 10 is What If.
Okay, cool. Yes, we talked about that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. My 10 is going to be Ironheart. Do you have it any higher than number 7, Kels?
So Ironheart is my number 8.
Okay, so we can talk about it now. It was my number 10 though, so I guess I'll start. Um, Yeah, this is one that we talked about most recently, but
Yeah.
it's one that has already escaped my mind. Like it's one of those things that I just don't really think about it a lot, and it sucks
Yeah.
because I like the character. I like the stuff with like the clone and bringing someone back, or not the clone, but yeah, is it a clone? I can't even remember. She's like created like a personified AI version of her friend. I think there's a lot of cool exploration
Yes.
in that theme, but then it also kind of
Mhm.
ends in such a weird spot. I almost felt like of all these seasons, like Daredevil season 1, Spider-Man season 1, What If season 2, they all have continuations, but they felt more definitive than like Ironheart, which
Mhm.
was its own thing. That still just ends in a weird spot. So I just kind of was like, this feels like a weirdly structured show. Even though I still think there are redeeming qualities. I think the character's great. I like some of the style of it. I just feel like the story wasn't as memorable, and just the way it ended and concluded just had me wanting more. And it felt like that was somewhere where we should have ended a penultimate episode rather than the final episode. So I think this is also one that, like, because they didn't market it well, feels very inconsequential. Like it kind of just came and went, and I don't feel like it has an overall big impact on the MCU yet. To where like I don't really feel like I'm watching this show and feeling like it has stakes in the way that Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision did way back when, and even Loki did, which we'll talk about. So I was very disappointed just in the overall Ironheart experience, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, I get that, Jill. I agree. It really ended on a weirder note just because I think that the setup that they tried to do when they do like the fake out at the end where you don't know if like the Natalie who's walking in to greet Riri is the AI that she's now like fully revamped and was able to, remake with technology, or if she is the real Natalie that now
Hmm.
Riri has struck up the deal with Mephisto. You find out at the
Oh yeah,
last second.
Mephisto. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in there.
Yeah.
Um he you find out that obviously it's the human Natalie that's now back from the dead, and now this is obviously a consequence that a Riri is going to have to pay for. but yeah, for her to not realize that after she makes that,
Hmm.
you know, she shakes his hand and like says the magic words or whatever to Mephisto, and then she's all surprised when Natalie actually does come back. That was weird to me, is because they were trying to build up this like fake out plot twist that the audience isn't expecting. I also think that it's weird in general for Riri to make that decision to bring her friend back, because
Right.
she doesn't really seem to be grappling with this loss as much, because the entire time her AI friend is there, she's constantly fighting with her and is like, you're not even supposed to be here. And I just
Hmm.
feel like if she started in a lower place in the series, at the beginning of the series, it would have made more sense for her to want to bring her friend back by the end. I think
Yeah.
I have it a little higher than you, Dill, is because what I remember looking back on this show is that I really liked it, like, stylistically. I really like that we really, you know, showcase like a really smart young Black woman in
Hmm.
like all of her glory. I liked that we, you know, saw Riri at her best. We also saw her at her worst. She had some lows in this, but then she also had places to go and like
Yeah.
places to grow from
Hmm.
there.
Yeah.
So I think that she had some really nice arcs and some really good character development in this show. And yeah, I just liked that it just felt a little different compared to like our other projects this phase. And so I had
Absolutely.
it a little higher.
That's fair. What is your number 9, Kels?
My number 9 is Echo.
Okay, that's my number 7. So we'll talk about it now.
Okay, interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember liking Echo, but just it's just not as strong for me as some of the other projects in this film. I in this film,
This
hello,
phase, I got
in
you.
this phase, thank you. But yeah, I remember really liking like, you know, how she was connected to all of the different women that came before her. Obviously, those moments. Um, I just thought that it was like kind of a really weird display of Kingpin in this series. But I really liked, you know, the style surrounding this like culture, and with all the indigenous folks in this
Mhm.
project. And yeah, I'm really curious as to what happens for Echo
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah, it's in my top half at number 7 because I think I really like the character, and I think I like that they're bringing this culture, as you said, into the MCU. And I do like that it feels like a series. It feels like, yes, it's
Hmm.
a mini series, but it feels like every episode, it's like this is a ancestral story, and this is how we're tying it into what's going on now. It really made it feel episodic in a way that a
Hmm.
lot of these series, I'm like, why is this a series? Why aren't you just giving me a 2.5 hour movie and shortening some things and tightening some things up? And why did the movies not become series then? You know, like, and I feel like this
Yeah.
one really justified itself as a series. I really liked where they took Maya's character. I liked exploring her background because she was such a secondary character of Hawkeye that it feels like she didn't get fully developed. And I feel like we could finally do that. Which
Hmm.
I feel like some of the shows, it's like, no, we really have spent so much time with these characters. Do we really need another series about them? Whereas here, it was very nice to see that. It was really nice to kind of get that fuller picture for her. And I do agree with Kingpin. He's not the strongest here, but I liked how they kind of showed him, you know, another character trait of him being so lazy that he has to like have some AI detect what the signing is that he can't bother to learn it himself. Like I liked how we
Yeah.
got other shades of him, even though I felt like it was a little too soon to bring him back. I kind of would have liked to keep that mystery a little longer of like, did he die?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it kind of just felt like, all right, well, he's back now, and in Daredevil, he's even more back. You know, he's even better than ever. So
Right.
I just feel like it was very much like we couldn't really sit with it. And that's the thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Like, is we don't have time to really sit with these big, heavy moments. Like, even Endgame, we haven't even sat with the fact that Tony Stark has been dead, and now all of a sudden Robert Downey Jr. is Doom, you know, like stuff like that, where I just wish we could sit a little longer with it and have this finality. But it just is the way of these shows. It's like we have to rush into the next thing. They needed to get to Daredevil, so we need to rush out Echo. I hate how it was rushed out so fast. I wish it had time to like kind of get a little bit more of an impact, let people really discover it and talk about it and create that buzz. It kind of feels like Ironheart in that way, where it kind of just came and went. But I do feel like just because we already knew the character a little bit stronger than we knew Ironheart, we really got to dive deep into something so rich and new and fresh. I put it higher for that reason, but it's still my number 7. I still don't think it's amazing. Like
Yeah.
really, my amazing stuff starts at number 2, and even then, my number 2 is like it's not amazing, but it's great. But
Yeah.
everything else
Yeah.
is kind of like, all right, yeah, it's good. So yeah, I think it's fine. We're still in the fine tier for me. If this is like a
Yes.
tier list, we're still at the C tier. You know, this is still
Yes.
average.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I agree.
yeah.
I also think it's really funny to think about now that we've watched all of Daredevil Born Again. Like, it's so crazy to think of that, like, the same guy who literally like smashed that guy's face in by just holding it between his two hands is like in Oklahoma for like a period of time being like,
Yeah.
Maya, you're my favorite like young girl.
Right.
And it's like this guy is sick. He is so
Yeah.
sick and twisted and like crazy.
Yeah,
Ugh,
not the babysitter you want to come over and
yeah,
watch your kids. My
literally.
number 9 though, I feel like you might have this higher. So if this is in your top 6 or above, we will move
Okay.
on and talk about it later. But I have Deadpool and Wolverine here at 9.
Okay, it's my number 6.
Let's talk about it later then.
Okay.
Cool. Even though I think we're gonna get there in just a sec because we've
Yeah.
already kind of talked about some other things, but let's just do some housekeeping real quick.
Yeah.
Let me just put the little. I'm tallying all our totals just so later I can give a definitive ranking between the two of us of what we have. But there we go, 15. Okay. So your number 8 then we've already talked about is Ironheart, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and my number 8 was the Marvels. Your number 7 we have not talked about, right? Mine was Echo. So what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Okay, that's all the way up in my number 4, but it is close enough. We can talk about it now. Yeah, let's talk
Wow.
about it now.
That's
Kelsey,
good,
it's my number
Jill.
4. Yeah, it's your
Um,
number 7. Tell us.
yeah, yeah. Oh, you're making me feel like it's too low on my list
No,
because
I'm telling you right now, everything from like 3 below is like okay, and then everything from like 6 below is like fine. So like this is in the okay tier. Like this is pretty
okay.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
number
I
4, but
remember
it's okay.
I remember really enjoying this series. I think that it was just like a really well crafted series. Like it not only was a good showcase for Peter Parker, but also the characters that surrounded him. And I think that that's what all of the TV series, the Marvel TV series have been lacking in is that like these developed storylines for the side characters. And instead of like having just like one plot, one mission, the entire show, like having, these little side quests that the other characters have to go on. And yeah, I'm thinking about like Lonnie, and his arc that happens for him in this show, and I'm feeling sad about that. And I'm thinking about his friend, even though I don't remember her name right now. And then what's his name? Coleman Domingo as
Green Goblin or not Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. And
Norman
then Harry
Osborn.
Osborn. Yeah.
Yes, and Harry Osborn, and just like all these like really great characters, great animation, great humor. Yeah, I like this one a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my number 4 just because I could find less flaws in it than like
Yeah.
everything below it. Yeah, I really like this one. I think it's one of those things that I really want to get further into the story. And I feel like it can expand. Like I feel like it did such a good job world building, like you said, with all those side characters. I think Peter is one of the lesser important parts of it, which I actually kind of like about it. It was just kind of the opposite of what I said for Captain America, but Captain America is a little different because like this was supposed to be a big moment for him, whereas this one we've seen so much of Peter Parker, we know his story. It's kind of cool to get like a taste of what else is in his world, like Spider-Verse was with all these other Spider-Man. Now we get a taste of just like the neighborhood, and I really like that. It's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and we feel like we're actually ingrained in this neighborhood. It feels like a community thing. And we're just getting different flavors of Spider-Man that we've still never seen before. And I feel like Spider-Man is the most oversaturated of all the Marvel properties. I feel like we've gotten the most X-Men and Spider-Man of any other Marvel property, but it still feels like there's avenues to explore with this. And I really like that about it. I still don't love the animation as much as you do. I still think, it is harkening back to the comics, which I really like. But at the same time, I don't know if I could sit through a whole 2-hour movie with this animation, but I do like at least that it is something different. It is a style that's different, characters that are different. I really like the voice performances. I think Coleman Domingo is great. Had a great year this year. He was also the Cowardly Lion in Wicked. But I really do really like him, and I really think this is a really cool series. I just like that it surprised me too, because I went into this being like, oh, the actor has bad views. And I don't like this idea, and like why are we even doing this? This is pointless. But it actually did justify itself really nicely, and I think it was a good way to also kind of fill in this earlier portion of the year. So
Totally.
yes, my number 4. It's solid. It's fine. It's okay. It's not my top. My top 3 are in a tier of their own.
Okay.
This is kind of in the next phase, next tier.
All right.
But now we can talk about Deadpool because that's your number 6, which we're at now. So
Yes.
tell us about Deadpool and Wolverine. Why is it your number 6?
Well, Dale, I look back on this movie kind of fondly. I think about all the really funny moments. I think about all the very fan servicey cameos that, like, for better or for worse, did have me getting pretty giddy in the theater. Like, it was fun to see Channing Tatum as Gambit. It was fun to see, the Chris Evans moment, as we mentioned before. And I just think about, like, the great villain, like Emma Corrin did a great job as Cassandra Nova. I also liked the guy from Succession. I thought that he was a great character in this. Matthew McFadden.
Yeah.
McFadden. I'm not remembering his name now in the film, but I'm thinking about his great performance in it, and like all the great musical moments in this one. So yeah, I say what you will about it. So, I said it before, I'll say it again. Sometimes these films feel like amusement park rides. They're just for entertainment only, and like that's okay. That's okay for me.
I think that's the thing, is like it's fun and memorable and entertaining, which is why I have it as high as I do, because I think what it stands for is actually pretty detrimental. We've talked about it, but like I think it's very scary for the future of the MCU, in the fact that like they brought Hugh Jackman back, and they kind of make a joke about like a merger and a blockbuster and like a monopoly and monopolization and business stuff that I feel like is something that, like, if you really like think long and hard about, you're like, no, this is not something that we should be joking about, because like, yes, we're celebrating Fox, but also look at the amount of people who lost their jobs because of it, and like, suck it, I'm going to Disney World, like all this stuff that felt like it was just a pat on the back for the merger and not really wanting to tell its own story. And I feel like this is the only type of character to be able to tell any self-referential, merger jokes through is Deadpool. But even at the same time, then they tried to make it more serious by bringing in like the X-23 character, or what's her name? Laura. No, not Laura. Yeah, Laura. And then also just talking about like the Wolverine stuff and the legacy stuff. It just felt like a little bit of a clash of like, okay, are we gonna have fun and poke fun at ourselves and make fun of all these people getting their jobs taken away from them and like monopolization of blockbusters, or are we gonna like make this a serious story about Wolverine? I felt at times it was at odds with itself. I think the action is really good. I think the musical moments are really good. I think the comedy is good. It's just like I don't know. I think darker, when you look at like the darker underlying stuff in it, it just makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me kind of like pissed off at where the MCU is going at times.
Totally.
Kind of what we talked about with Avengers Doomsday. So I think it stands for the best and worst of the MCU. I think it hits all the great beats you expect from a movie like this from the MCU, but it also kind of tackles some of the worst, more grim stuff that I feel like a lot of people just tend to be like, I don't care. I don't work for Disney. Now I work for Disney. So it's kind of even crazier to kind of have a perspective on things. And I don't want to say too much without getting in trouble. So I'm going to end it there. No, all good things. I love working for Disney, and I love my job. It's a different branch, obviously, but like just the filmmaking industry itself is looking grim, especially with AI. And it just sucks that movies like this are kind of celebrating the darker sides of Hollywood kind of deals and all that stuff. But that's my own high horse. I have a stick up my ass about this movie. I always have, and I always will. So we can move on. But what is your number 5, Kels?
Okay, my number 5.
Oh no, I didn't do mine number 6. That was my number 9.
Sorry.
That was your number 6. My number 6 is Daredevil Born Again.
Oh, mine Daredevil is 4. Daredevil Born Again is 4 on my list.
Okay, so we talked about my 4 of Spider-Man 2. So why don't we talk about Daredevil now then?
Great.
Kels. It's my number 6, your number 4. So I guess I'll start because it's lower on my list.
Okay.
But, yeah, I think it's good. I mean, the thing is, like, it's not as good for me as the Netflix one. I just think there's something missing. I don't know if it's just because of the characters were a little different. I think it got better as it went along, but there was something about it missing, and maybe it's the camaraderie of the big three. Maybe it's the fact that like it is still Disney, so now like it's a little more tame, even though it's less tame than anything else in the MCU. There are obviously moments, but for some reason, just something about the original series still just hits a little bit harder for me. I think that's really it. I still love being back with these characters. I still like where they're going. I'm excited to see where they're going. I like Kingpin. I'm kind of getting a little sick of him. I know it's crazy that I'm saying that because I love him. But I really do think that this is a solid series. But for me, like nothing I'm like raving about, but like perfectly good. Like it's perfectly fine for me.
Okay, I can respect that, Dill. Honestly, we were sitting here talking about Kingpin so much because of Echo that I switched up my ranking last minute right here, right now.
Oh,
Daredevil Born Again, it was originally 5. I moved it up. I traded it with my original number 4, and now Daredevil Born Again is my number 4. Now I have a different number 5 because I think that once I got past the initial shock of like this wasn't going to just be a continuation of the Netflix series and that it wasn't going to feel the same way that that show once did, I think that I actually really liked this series. And I think that I just really liked all the risks that it took. I liked all the characters that it introduced. I liked that it kind of felt like an episodic, like a lawyer drama at some points, especially when we got into all the Hector Ayala um plot, like B plot.
Mhm.
And I'm just really excited for what's to come, mostly because Karen Page and Punisher are back in the picture. And whenever those two get in a room together, there's the tension, you could cut it with a knife.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited to see what happens with like her arc, just like as a character, but also like what she's going to do now moving forward, now that she's kind of addressed these, like, she has two different feelings for two different people. So I think that that's going to be really entertaining and exciting to watch to come. And I obviously want to see, just like, I could watch Punisher just like fuck people up all day long. So
Yeah.
um yeah, I had to move it higher just because I
Nice.
remember like thinking, I was like, oh, this is what TV shows are like supposed to feel like, and
Yeah.
not just like the run of the mill MCU shows that we had been getting.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
That's
moved
fair.
it up.
Nice. Yeah, I don't have anything to elaborate there. I'm just excited for the next season. I'm excited to cover it.
Yeah.
Just dive deeper into the lore. It's also hard for that and Spider-Man because I'm like they're kind of unfinished, so we don't really know how they're gonna
Hmm.
end. So it's harder to rank them with something like Guardians or Loki, where they're so finished. Um,
Totally.
so, but Kelsey, we got to get to your number 5 now. What is your number 5?
So my new number 5, this was tough. I liked this series a lot as well, and that is Loki season 2.
That's my 5 as well. So we'll talk about it right now. Go ahead,
Amazing.
Kelsey.
Yeah, I just think that this was also one that was like super stylistically very interesting, felt a lot different from what the other shows felt like. I loved the, obviously the huge character development that Loki goes through this series, and his relationship with Mobius and his relationship with Sylvie, and how it all comes to a head, and the amazing music that was composed for this
Mhm.
show. I just think about all these like good things, like, um, this is all the memories that come flooding back to me when I think about it, and I remember it very, very fondly. So I
Yeah.
knew that this one was definitely going to have to kick off.
Yeah.
I would say that this is where, in my ranking now, this is where I start talking about things that I was like really happy to watch, and like the
Mhm.
things that got me really excited.
Yeah, I think this is on a tier with Spider-Man where like there's things I really really like about it. Still nothing that I don't think this season is as rewatchable for the first one for me. The
Mm,
first season I think is like really really good. This one I thought was solid, but there are a few things like reading back like some of the episodes I'm just like, okay, it feels like we're taking a lot longer to get to where we want to be going, and it feels like it's a lot
mhm,
of filler of like we really know where we want to end this series and we
mm,
really know where we're coming from, but it's like that 4 episodes because it's 6 episodes. I feel like the first 4 were all good, but felt like they were spinning their wheels a little bit, especially trying to reunite Sylvie and then get
mhm,
I love Kiyoe Kwan's character, but I
mhm.
remember us also being like, is he bad? Is he not? He's escaped
Yeah.
Ouroboros and he's bad, but he really wasn't.
Right,
But
right.
then I really really like where it ended. I really loved how it built to the conclusion. I really love the conclusion for Loki for Sylvie. The only thing that also drags it down, not the fact that Jonathan Majors is in it because like Kang is important or whatever. I think it was fine to include him in it. It's the fact that he's just bad in it. Like I remember us both being like, his performance is freaking bad.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I remember just like not enjoying his character, not enjoying having him around, and
yeah.
then Miss Minutes was getting all sexy, and I was like, I don't really know how I feel about some of these choices, but I remember it ending really, really strong. But I remember it took a little while to get there, and it just didn't feel like it was as consistently magical as it was in the first season. And it felt like we got to Mobius too soon and Sylvie too long. It felt like Mobius was one of those things that I thought was going to spend the whole season trying to get back, but
Mm,
really we reunited fairly early, I remember. And then
mhm.
Sylvie was kind of where I'm like, oh, I feel like we could like reunite them already.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it just felt like there were some moments. I remember that one scene where she's in the record store being really memorable with like all the spaghetti stuff slipping away. Like I
Yes,
really remember
yes.
those like final 2 episodes being so good. But the first 4, I remember just being like, okay, why are we at Jonathan Majors? Why is it Western right now? Like I like this Ouroboros guy, but what else are who's Brad? I remember that episode titled Brad or whatever, and
Oh,
you're like,
yeah,
who's
I
Brad?
remember that now.
So I
Yeah,
really like,
yes.
even looking at my letterbox review, I was like, who's Brad and why do we care about him? That shows you all you need to know about this early half of the season. So
Yeah.
I think it is a more of a mixed bag, but it's number 5 out of 14, meaning that this was just a lot of dog shit this year, because even though Loki season 2 I thought was like mid, it's still better than most of the stuff on the
Yeah,
list.
yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was good though. Like it's good. It's just compared to season 1, not nearly as good, in my opinion. But now we have the same top 3, because your number 4 is Daredevil, my number 4 is Spider-Man. So we have the same top 3. I'm just interested to see what the order is. I think we're gonna have the same number 1, but what is your number 3, Kels?
My number 3 is Agatha All Along.
That is my number 3 as well. I think we're gonna have the same top
Okay.
3 in order. We'll see. But
Interesting. I love this.
yeah, let's talk about Agatha.
Yeah, I just thought that it was like so solid, a really great showcase of a lot of different characters. Like Patty LuPone's episode is what comes to mind for me, like how powerful and like even though she dies at the end of that episode, it just feels like so rewarding and such a payoff for that character by the end.
Mhm.
And I'm just really excited to see what happens for Billy moving forward. I don't know if I necessarily need Agatha as a ghost moving forward, but
Yeah.
I definitely am interested to see like, what this means for Billy and how he's going to find Tommy. And obviously like Aubrey Plaza's performance in this one was great. Yeah, and it was just it came out like right when it should have. It was a very good like spooky time
Yeah.
watch. And so I
Yeah.
just feel like it could definitely be something I rewatch moving forward during that time of year.
Yeah, I think the vibes were really great, like you said. I do think it's one of those things. I think the journey's better than the destination in this sense, where like Loki,
Mhm.
it ended really strong. I think here it was like by the end, I was like, oh, do we have to keep her around as a ghost? Because it felt like Marvel can't let anything truly die.
Right.
But I really did like the journey getting there. I liked all the reveals, even though it was kind of obvious where it was going with Tommy. It was Tommy or Billy? Tommy?
Billy.
Billy. It was kind of obvious where it was going with Billy. I liked the idea of having, these other supporting characters having like full-fledged arcs and making them feel as important as Agatha, while also still making Agatha feel important. And that's where I think something like for example, what were we talking about? Captain America kind of suffered a little bit. Even Spider-Man, it didn't always feel like they were the center of it. It felt like it was a lot about the supporting cast. Whereas here, it feels like it is about Agatha still, while also being about all the other things as well. I like that there was a
Mhm.
lesbian romance at the center of it, some queer representation. I also just
Mhm.
really liked the vibes of it and the fear factor. It wasn't so spooky, but it was spooky enough that it gave you that kind of hocus pocus thrill. So I think
Mhm.
it's perfect for that time of year, perfect for that vibe. Maybe not going to revisit it in like February, but like I really do think like it is one I will go back to at least that time of year, and just in general, because I really like all the performances. I think it did exactly what it needed to do very successfully. So yeah, cool.
Yeah. It was
All right,
good. Solid watch.
let's see if we have the same top 2. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Thunderbolts
We have the same
asterisk.
top 2. That's my number 2 as well.
Yeah, Dill, I really enjoyed this one. This is another one that I just like haven't gotten around to rewatching, but it's not because I'm stalling. It's just because I really want to give this movie the time it deserves for me to rewatch it. I don't just want to have it on in the background. I want to,
Mhm.
absorb it in for all that it's worth. And I just like think about, all the messaging around mental health with this movie, and I think about the great performances by Florence Pugh
Yeah,
and what's his name, Lewis
Louis
Pullman,
Pullman. Yes.
and even Alexi was like super strong in this movie for
Mhm.
me. David Harbour, yeah, and having Julia Louis Dreyfus as a villain. She remains to be like very interesting and a super dynamic villain for
Mhm.
me. Um, and so it's just set up like something like so crazy for them to be these quote unquote new Avengers with like her at the helm. It's like what could that even mean? Like
Yeah.
this team is so chaotic and messy as it is, and now moving forward, it's like what's gonna happen? We'll see.
Right. Yeah, I really like this one. This is one I did get to rewatch twice in Toronto when I first saw it. First day I
Nice.
saw it, I don't know if I mentioned this in the review, but I watched it the day my dog died, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, this MCU movie will cheer me up. MCU movies are fun romps."
oh,
And
I'm
it was
sorry,
like an
Dill.
exploration in grief and trauma and
Yes.
mental health, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is not good." And then like a week later, I went with a bunch of my friends. I shouldn't have seen it alone first off, and I shouldn't have seen it the day he died. I just thought it would be a good way to distract myself. It was not.
Yeah.
But then when I rewatched it, I was like, no, this is really good. Like I really, really liked it. I think it looks really good too. I love
Mhm.
the cinematography. I love the way the actors portray the roles. And the action is solid. There's not a ton of action, and I like that about it. I like that it is very character focused. I do hate that they didn't make Ghost a bigger part of it. It feels like they really sidelined Ghost. It feels
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they at times sidelined John Walker, and they really sidelined Taskmaster. Whereas, like, I get that was
Right.
for the bit, but I'm also like, that kind of sucks. You know, if I'm Olga Kurylenko, I'm pissed off about that. But hey, she probably made a lot of bank because she's on every poster. I do
Yeah.
think honestly branding it as the new Avengers didn't need to happen. I honestly think they could just be the Thunderbolts, and I like that about him. I don't really, I'm not sold as this being the new Avengers, just also because like Ghost feels underdeveloped, and I just don't know if this is the rally team that people are going to really rally around in terms
Mhm.
of fan base. And I really feel like you're already bringing Fantastic Four into the mix, and you're going to bring back some of the original Avengers. Like, why do they need to be the new Avengers? Why can't you just have them be the Avengers? Unless it's going to set up like an antagonistic presence in the next movie. But I'm like, the whole point of this movie was humanizing some of the other people that have been villains. Like Yelena's been a bit of an anti-hero. Let's like give her a little
Mhm.
bit more humanity. Bob is a bit of a villain in this film, but we see him kind of have this arc. So I'm a little trepidatious for moving forward here with this group, but I really like this group. I like this camaraderie, this teamwork. Even Bucky, I feel like is a little underdeveloped here, but like has good moments. I do like the Allegra Valentina De Fontaine. I think I reverse the order there. The stuff I think Geraldine Viswanathan is really good. I know Io Debris was supposed to be that role, but I think she fits it really well. Yeah, I think
Mm.
it's just solid across the board. I think it's just a really different movie, and I think that's what we needed after like Deadpool and Wolverine and the Marvels, where I'm like, this is entertaining, but I just feel like the substance is not there. Even Agatha, which was so fun, but I was just like, there were some parts where I was like, okay, I could take or leave this. This one, I felt like the whole way through, I was like, all right, yep, I'm down, I'm sold. So yeah, it's not my number one, which I think is a borderline masterpiece, but I think it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means our number one, Kels.
It's almost like not fair. It's like now that we're about to talk about it, I'm like, there was like no competition. I saw the list and it was like easily this is going to be my number
Yeah.
one.
My number one, two, and three were so easy. I was like, okay, this is
Yes.
obviously the best. This is probably what I would watch next. And then Agatha, number three, and everything else. I was like, all right, this stuff is good to mid to like fine. And then the
Right.
bottom was easy, Secret Invasion. But
Right. Right.
yeah, this is the easiest number one ever. Say it, Kels.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah,
I
we've talked about
mean,
it so much, but it's
um,
perfect.
we've talked about it so much, but it really is just like such a great like final chapter for this group of Guardians as we know them. Obviously, like we might have some stuff with Quill moving forward. We might even have some stuff with that ragtag group that Rocket puts together at the end, when he
Yeah.
becomes the leader of the Guardians of the
Mhm.
Galaxy. Who knows what's going to happen in this MCU
Is
but
Nebula part of that group? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I
I know
remember
it's Rocket and Groot, Cosmo,
Cosmo is in there. Eh,
Kraglin,
oh,
Mant.
Kraglin,
Is
yeah.
No, Mantis isn't part of it, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. It's
I'll look it up.
been see, this is one that I might have started rewatching, but I might have turned it off. It's just like it's a very heavy watch for me. There's
All
a
right, I
lot of
got it here.
emotional.
It is who even is that? I can't even tell from that picture.
Oh,
Who is that girl? Is that Mantis? That's not Mantis.
um, are you showing the picture to me because
Oh,
I
it's
can't see it?
Phyla. Who's Phyla? Is she a little girl?
Phyla.
I'm having deja vu. I'm not having deja vu. So it's okay. Here it is. It's Adam, Kraglin,
Yes. Okay.
Rocket, Groot, Cosmo, and then this little girl that's apparently named Phyla. She's one
Oh.
of the little kids who spoke to Drax, I guess.
Oh, she's one of the Star Children?
Yeah, but I'm having like Mandela effect. I don't remember this girl. Okay, so
Ye
maybe yeah, it's a 4.5 star, not a 5, I guess.
Right, right. But like I was saying, it's kind of like a heavy watch for me. There's a lot of emotional turmoil with this one. There's a lot of
Mhm.
heavy moments. So it's
Yeah.
not one that I gravitate towards just to like throw on just because I'm like, oh, I don't want to see this traumatic death between the rabbit, walrus, and otter. Like, I don't need that to ruin my day right now. But it's just like an amazing like James Gunn movie, and yeah,
Yeah,
obviously
especially
that's my
seeing
number one.
him now doing Superman and like starting a whole new chapter for himself. It really
Yeah,
felt like the end of an era for him as well.
totally.
Because it is so sentimental. Even though I think Superman captures a lot of the magic that Guardians does as well. We haven't really talked about it, the two of us,
Yeah,
Superman, but I really like it.
yeah.
But you'll be getting my top 10 of the summer on New Year's Day, which is going to be really funny because it's like summer movies coming out in January, but that's just kind of how it rolls. Just because I'm catching up on all summer movies, but Superman's a very high on that list. But yeah, I love James Gunn. I think this is great. All the emotional moments hit. The needle drops in this thing rock.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no sleep for Brooklyn or whatever. What's the other one? Creep, and then the Crazy on You and Dog Days Are Over. Just
yeah,
everything
yeah,
is
yeah.
so good. Yeah, Since You've Been Gone. Oh my gosh, all the needle drops are so good. Like maybe my favorite like compilation album for a movie. Period.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard competition. It's like this, Pulp Fiction, and Saturday Night Fever, and then like I don't even know. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's flawless. We've talked so much about it. I don't have anything else to add. But Adam, great character. But yeah, that's our
Yeah.
ranking, Kels.
That's it for
Whew.
2025 Phase 5 ranking. You sent me
Yeah,
this list, Dylan, and I was
not even
like,
2025. This is going back to what 23 is when Ant-Man came out. I think.
right. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this has been like the longest phase of my life.
Yeah, which it
But
really hasn't even. Like, it's still one of the shorter ones in terms of
right,
years, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. Let me recap
totally.
really quickly what our ranking is. We
Yeah.
have 12 spots because we have 2 ties. So at number 12, Secret Invasion. At number 11, a tie between Captain America: Brave New World and Ant-Man: Quantumania. Makes a lot of sense. At 10, we have What If. At 9, we have The Marvels. At number 8, we have Ironheart. 7, Echo. 6, Deadpool Wolverine. 5, Spider-Man. 4, we have a tie between Loki and Daredevil. At number 3, Agatha All Along. 2, Thunderbolts, and 1, Guardians. So it pretty much mirrors both our lists as well as it can.
Yeah.
Yeah, big fan, big fan of that first top 3. Like that is a really solid top 3. But
Mhm.
yeah, you feel good about our list, Kels?
I do. I do.
Giants won.
It's
I just saw on my phone. That's fun. That's exciting.
yeah, that is exciting.
First of 3 this year.
Yeah,
Or
literally.
third of 3 this year. But yeah, that's our ranking. I'm excited to kind of close the book on Phase 5. I really think Guardians and Thunderbolts are really going to be the shining things that come out of it, and then
Yeah.
we're going to kind of look back at it as the weakest phase. Even Phase 4 had some weak links, but like there was some really good ground set up. With Eternals and Shang-Chi and even Spider-Man No Way Home is a big fan favorite, even though we don't like it as much. So
Yeah.
like I think Phase 5 is going to be the low point, and we're gonna stay there. I think 6, even though Doomsday looks doomed in some respects, I do still think there's gonna be enough new stuff that I'm looking forward to in 6. If they bring in X-Men, if they bring in more Fantastic Four, I didn't love Fantastic Four first steps. You liked a lot more than I did, but I have hope that 6 is gonna be better than 5. But we'll have to see. We're already off to an okay start, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any last thoughts, Kels?
No, that's it. It's been one hell of a year for us personally
Yeah,
and for Marvel. So
absolutely.
it's gonna be interesting what's to come.
Yeah, we'll be back next month. We're gonna be podcasting about something. I think Wonder Man is officially gonna be coming out next month, so hopefully we'll get to podcast about that. And even if we do not, as I said, trivia will be back starting next month. We're gonna do a monthly. I'm gonna make sure we stick to that. And then we'll try to find some stuff for you. We'll do some old Secret Avengers files or whatever, First Avenger files or and I am going to be busy, but Kelsey, you're always welcome to have guests on. We're going to probably do it again for our 2016 retrospective. We're probably going to have Kelsey on to do guest commentaries for Civil War and what else came out in 2016. Help me out, Doctor Strange, and is there one other one?
Yeah.
Spider-Man: Homecoming?
No, that's
No, it's
2017.
2017. Oh, help me out, trivia queen.
No, no, no,
Civil
no,
War.
no. There's only
Oh, I got
two.
one. Oh, is it Ragnarok or no?
No, I think there's 3 for 2017, and I think there's only 2 for 2016.
Okay, so
'Cause
you're
I
gonna
think
have
the
to have
ones
guests on for Doctor Strange and Civil War then. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the 3 that came out in 2017 were Spider-Man, Ragnarok, and Guardians 2.
Right. So we only had 2 in 2016. I'm trying to think if there's any other like Marvel movies. Was X-Men Apocalypse
Oh, no,
2016?
I think that was 2015.
Movies 2016 Marvel. Yep, X-Men Apocalypse was 2016. And then the first Deadpool,
Oh.
that's what I'm thinking of. The first Deadpool was 2016. So maybe
Oh, wow.
maybe not Apocalypse because I feel like Apocalypse is like we've talked about Apocalypse. It's not
No.
worth it. Maybe we'll do a
Right.
commentary for Deadpool as well. Maybe we'll see. We'll
Okay.
see what you have the ability for and timing for, and we'll see who's interested. Because I know a few other people were like, I want a commentary. So I'm like, all right, well that's up
Right.
to Kelsey and I. But I appreciate the interest and the love. But
Yeah.
I feel like that'll be a good way to round out our summer of 2016, where we look ahead. A really big year. La La Land versus Moonlight. It's coming this year, and picture this. I'm really excited for it.
Oh wow.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so things to look forward to. Obviously, 2016 retrospective, those commentary tracks. Looking at Wonder Man, talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Maybe Kelsey will be on the boat to talk about it with me. We will have talk about Avengers Doomsday, and a year from now, I'll be home for it. So we'll get to watch it together, Kels. I think, actually. I don't know if it's actually in the right timing for it, but we'll figure it out. If not, we will definitely podcast about it next year before we wrap. What else in next year are we looking forward to? Another Daredevil season, I think. Another Spider-Man season. I think that's it. I don't know. Another What If,
Yeah.
maybe? Probably not. No.
No, I think What If's done. I think season 3
Okay,
was the last season.
Back to Google. This is how out of touch I am. 2026 Marvel projects. Whoops. Yeah, Brand New Day, Doomsday, Wonder Man, Born Again. Oh, we're getting another season of X-Men 97. Okay, period.
Oh, nice.
Period.
Love that.
Neighborhood Spider-Man. Oh, we're getting a new Punisher series. Okay, or TV special called The Punisher. Okay, I didn't know this. Vision Quest is coming out next year. That's the one with Paul Bettany. So
Oh, yeah.
that'll be fun. That'll be fun, right? Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
We're also getting Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 2. Yes. So
nice.
there we go. Boom.
Exciting.
Okay, cool. Fun stuff ahead. So stay tuned with us. Kelsey, where can they find you, and anything to tease for your YouTube channel?
You can find me on Letterboxd at Kelsey A. Kilp. My Instagram is at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. And my YouTube channel is my name, Kelsey Kilpatrick. There's a 3-hour long DC franchise review video on there, and there's going to be more to come. I've just started a new series called Sorry I'm New Here, where I explore different facets of pop culture that I've never before. And I have not revealed what the next video is going to be about, but I have been reading some really long books, and that is your tease about what is to come.
I know what it is because she told me and I remembered. But yeah, I'm excited to see that. You can find me here. I am going to try to be more active, as I said, in my catching up video for 2026. I'm going to be doing a live stream sometime in early January, just Q&A. If anyone has questions about my job and just wants to know how I've been, and I want to catch up with you guys if you have questions, maybe I'll send a link to Kelsey, Matt, Chad, and Zach if they want to pop in and like hang out too. And just answer some questions from some of y'all, just have a nice fun chat. I'm gonna hopefully be doing like a physical media show off someday soon, where I'm gonna be like showing all my physical media. I'm gonna record that soon. We got our trader season that I'm gonna air in January as well. Start in January, we're gonna do trivia. I'm gonna have draft days galore that Kelsey will be part of some of them. So we're gonna have a fun year. I'm gonna make sure to front load as much as I can so that the whole year is plentiful. And even then on the boat, like I'm gonna try to really find the time and really make the time and get some good stuff out there for you guys. So stay tuned. We got some fun stuff prepared for 2026, even though I will be hitting the high seas again. If you want to cruise on the Disney Wish and say hi to me while you're there, just don't be weird about it. I'm excited to see you and entertain you. But anything else, Kels, before we go?
No. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone. Yes, have a safe and happy New Year. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever else you might celebrate. Ramadan. What else am I missing? Anything else this time of year? Festivus? Yeah,
I don't know.
Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you later. Bye.